Hello, welcome to the Animation Group Wonders, where we are talking about superheroes. I'm back with Owen and Sam.
Yeah.
Yippee. All right, housekeeping things. Again, 18 plus show. We're college students trying to make a wonderful podcast and spending our times together. Last episode, we had an evergreen discussion about Spider-Man, and we just, try to figure out what we remember, what we knew, what we didn't know. And today we're going to be talking about comic books of Spider-Man. Not specifically, but more notably, like certain things that have happened, staples, and the characters' origins and all that, which includes the villains.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Good.
So that means we get to...
Big learning day.
Yeah, so which means we get to learn a lot about origins and stuff. And most of the stuff we'll find out will be adapted to, and we get to talk about in the next episode.
Sweet.
So, let's reiterate Spider-Man. Who's the main Spider-Man, guys?
Peter Parker.
Peter.
Peter Parker.
What?
No!
I thought we were talking about the animal agency that likes animals too much.
True.
And doesn't want to eat the animals, but wants to keep them alive.
I thought this was about Peter Parker.
Who's that?
He's our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah, who's Peter Parker? You see,
Have some
Peter Parker.
chocolate chip.
Yeah, Peter Parker. He's a teenage science enthusiast. Little kid.
No. Who is Spider-Man?
But no, Peter Parker's an enthusiast in science. Young teenager. He was bitten by a radioactive spider as usual, and yeah, basically it was a science tour. They're going through a laboratory where they're experimenting on spiders and altering their DNA. It was 15 of them. One escaped and bit Spider-Man. And so...
Kinky.
That's what happened.
What?
Kinky?
Dude, it's like, we're like 2 minutes in, pal. Calm
Gotta
down.
be interested, bro.
Yeah, we really got you hooked with the word kinky.
What is
It's 10 at night, buster.
That is true.
What, did it like the spider turn into a man spider? Said, come here,
No,
Peter.
no.
Man spider. Oh, woman spider.
No.
No, it did not say
Spider-Woman.
anything to the Peter, just beat him.
No, yeah, literally just bit him.
Just beat him.
What? Jesus Christ.
Anywho.
We're like 2.5 minutes. Oh, Jesus. God.
Cut the whole thing.
We're done.
Anyway.
We're starting over.
So, back to the origins, He got the suit. It was a whole thing. He would catch himself, webs and all that, climbing on the walls and stuff. Typical Peter Parker.
That'd be cool to just kind of figure out one day.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Like, whoa.
And it's cool because,
Stick to wall.
well, even then he was... Because, he would, I think he would, fall out of the room in terror and, fall on the walls and be like, please stop sticking. He would fall and be like, please stick. That's what really happened in the comics.
Okay.
And
That's
eventually
kinda
he would go through it and, all that. And just, in his origin, he does end up being a teenager with the Spider-Man powers, He's like, I gotta do something with this. So he goes out to the wrestling ring, make money.
Wrestles.
Little did Uncle Ben know, he thought he was just going to a library club or going to study.
Nerd.
Womp womp.
But no. Just just doing wrestling stuff.
He's getting knowledge.
Then one night, he was walking down, he witnessed a robbery, and a guy passed by. And little did he know, without stopping that guy would end up killing Uncle Ben.
I
That
like
guy
his
did?
rice.
Wait, so he didn't kill the dude and then he killed Uncle Ben?
Yeah. He basically didn't stop the robber from, doing robbery things. And so Uncle
Later
Ben...
down the line.
He would...
Okay.
And that's when Peter would find out out of nowhere. I think it was from Aunt May who would come across the street. I don't remember exactly. But because I know you guys have watched the movies, that would be adapted to...
Well,
The
Uncle
Raimi.
Ben's in real life. He does rice, the little packets where you put them in the microwave and you add water. That's Uncle Ben's rice.
Oh.
It says it on the package.
Wait, Uncle Ben's a rice? What are you talking
That's
about?
straight. Look it up.
Wait, what?
With great power comes great responsibility.
It's not that great, honestly. It's microwaved rice. So
Oh, that's Grandpa Max and Ben 10. No. Hold on. Oh, shit. It's
I told
real.
you, bro.
Oh, God.
I thought it was the dude with oh no, I'm thinking of the dude with the oats.
I-
Not Quaker, but there's another dude with oats, I think. It's just like an old dude on the package.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just don't remember exactly
Well,
what it
we
is.
don't need to shout out any company names because we're not sponsored.
But, Owen said the quote wrong. while he was dying on the street, Uncle Ben basically tells Peter, with great power comes great responsibility, and he gets sent to the heavens.
Responsibility.
Rice.
Yes.
Rice-a-roni.
Ah.
With great power comes
Great-
rice-a-roni.
Oh.
Yeah. And of course, that quote really inspired Peter to, be mature and use his power. So finally creates a suit and goes swinging, being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And of course, being a teenager, he's got to balance his life, superhero-wise, and high school life, trying to get through it. And, being Spider-Man. And of course, his suit gets damaged in battle. You know what's going to happen. He's going to need to make the web for his web shooters and all that.
Mm-hmm. Then he gives it to Mark Hamill. Oh, wait, no, that's Invincible.
He's like me. My own
Oh, by the way, don't give me any spoilers. I'm only on season 2 right now.
I'm going to be honest, I have not started Invincible. I've only seen clips, so.
I would recommend. It's good. The main character, the protagonist, Mark, I think, has a lot of parallels to Spider-Man because he gets his powers at 18.
Yeah.
And so has to go finish high school. And then it's just like teenage.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about it.
Anyway,
No,
Spider-Man.
but that's good because, Peter's got to, fix the suit. He's got to make the webs. He's got to buy the materials. So you guys know what he does.
Didn't you say someone repaired his suit for him, though?
Well, that would be later in his life. MJ would. When MJ gets into his life, he would repair the suit. But at the time, it was only him,
Mm-hmm.
and his best friend Harry, who would, be the, he was a nerd like Peter, but son of Norman Osborn, the head of his Oscorp Industries. So, Harry was kind of like his bodyguard, stopping Flash Thompson from beating the shit out of the little kid, even though Peter could handle himself at that point with his spider powers. Mm-hmm. But no, as we all know, he would work for the Daily Bugle to get money. And that's where he would meet J. Jonah Jameson.
I love J. Jonah Jameson. Probably because it's J.K. Simmons.
Well, this is the comics, not the movie.
Man.
He has a band. A jazz band.
What?
Not my tempo.
No, but yeah. And, no, what I love about the comics, and they never address it. Well, they do, but in another universe. But we're in the early life. I like how in the early life of Peter Parker, they never question, Peter, how the hell do you get these photos of Spider-Man? And his excuse is, I climbed the building.
That's ridiculous.
He's a stalker.
Wait, how does he have pictures of himself?
Selfies.
Well-
he just turns in selfies all the time.
I'm assuming, because the science never checks out of it, but does he just hatch the camera in the web, and then the web just pressurizes, and then
And then it hits the button and...
I don't know how that works.
Was Harry around?
Well, no, because Harry never knew about
Oh, that makes sense.
Peter's,
Harriet Tubman.
There's another guy named Schmieder Parker.
No, it reminds, but that kind of question reminds you of. Do you guys remember what's it called? That superhero movie that was made by the same guys who made Scary Movie.
Oh no, I'm not, but it sounds funny.
Anyway, so that movie they pair.
Scary movie is crazy.
Actually, we'll save that joke for later. But basically, I kind of imagine, for example, say for a day, J. Jonah Jameson was like, I feel like you take these pictures, it's almost like you're Spider-Man, and people be like, oh no, look, it's a selfie with Spider-Man.
No.
I could just imagine, oh god, but
Bro did not have Photoshop.
yeah, but as we all know, little Peter would end up getting his Rogues Gallery, and of course his first appearance was the fantasy action comic, but then he would end up getting his own comic line, The Amazing Spider-Man. That's where the name came from.
Hey,
Yeah.
We're talking about little Peter here, but where's Big Peter?
Let's just say his life doesn't go so great.
He died
No.
in a tragic accident with a car.
he'd fall into a river in Lego City.
No, but surprisingly, the first issue of The Amazing Spider-Man is where we get introduced to Chameleon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Baba Booey.
that's early.
Baba Booey. Yeah. Chameleon, his real name was Dmitry Smerdyakov.
Something Russian.
Yeah, he's a Russian, as we all know, Chameleon's master of disguise, impersonating literally and virtually anybody. Voice, appearance, and, the motion and stuff.
Scary.
And, it's, he doesn't really show up a lot, but like considering that he's more of a grounded villain and all that, it made sense that he was like the first, I guess, mainstream villain to pop up in the comics. Yeah. Also note,
That's cool.
Notice audience, Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is humongous, but we're not going to get through all of it because there's only...
If you want more, tell us, and then we'll do it, and then you'll watch it.
Yeah. Also,
Get you coming back for more.
another interesting thing about Chameleon, and we'll talk about this next villain sooner down the line, he's the half-brother of Kraven the Hunter.
Really?
Yeah. And that's hence the Russian thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's, the reason
Those-
why, but I'm just saying, like, if you think about it,
those Russians.
it is pretty interesting, The second villain that would pop up would be in issue 2, the Vulture.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh. God. Did you say
Does he also have a Bitcoin?
No.
What's his name again?
Vulture? Oh, you mean this like
Vulture
actual
coin?
God, but there's...
Anywho,
Anyway.
I'm gonna go to bed.
But no, the mantle of Vulture would really go down the line.
Not again. They're making a documentary about it. Yeah.
Can we cover that on this? She's a superhero.
She's a superhero for women's rights.
Is there
In a
comics
very
about
wrong
her?
way.
I'll write 'em.
Her comic was Hawktua.
It's like the anime. What do they call them? Where they like make a really shitty photo of them and they like fuck up real bad features of their face.
I know what you're talking about. Those
Yeah,
those
the
artist
caricature?
things.
Yeah. It's just a bunch of those with like text at the bottom, bottom text.
Well, she made like some video of like her like sleeping, and then she dreamt that she was in prison and shit.
Oh yeah, that would.
I don't know.
Oh
It was so weird. And they're like, anyway, documentary.
Hey, we're getting sidetracked
Sorry.
here. But no, none of the villains. Anyway, Vulture, the mantle actually goes down a lot, but the main Vulture is Adrian Toomes. I think it's Toomes or Tomes. I forget.
Adrian.
But basically, he's a mechanical genius, and so he would basically turn his like ordinary inventor life into like a life of crime. So his suit, I don't know how the mechanics are, but obviously he flies in the air.
Mm-hmm. I am the one who flies.
And of course his wings are very very sharp, if I would say. But yeah, he was an electric engineer, normal guy, Life take the worst of him and just decided to be a crime fighter. So
Just like me for real.
yeah.
Dude, you're just brain rot right now.
It good.
Is it? I think it's funny because I'm tired.
I've been told Gideon said the comic relief is good. So I'm digging into it.
Gideon knows all about comedy.
As a music industry major.
Oh, yes.
Well,
Shout out to you, Gideon. At GideonHopkins.com.
Gideon Hopkins, yeah.
Does he have a website?
No, he just...
Cut.
Yeah.
Cut.
But no, speaking of like, it's weird because it says he has super strength, but it never specifies how he got it. I'm assuming it was from the company he was working at.
Vulture?
Yeah.
Oh.
But he's elderly though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Adrian Toomes is elderly.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know how he gained that.
How
Or
old is he?
It's something in the
like,
Kool-Aid.
he's like in his 60s or like 70s if I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around that. It's really interesting.
That is odd.
But
It's the polluted water in Flint, Michigan.
I don't
That's
know.
why he's strong.
his third,
They're in New York.
yeah, it's
No.
Queens.
He bought bottles from Flint.
Oh, yeah.
But
And
thir-
steel.
Chicken Jackie.
Chicken Jocks. But yeah, and then the third villain in the third issue, coincidentally, is obviously Dr. Octopus. And
Yo,
say-
his hair is...
yeah, he's got a bowl cut.
Dude, he looked like my brother when he was younger. That's awful.
But, Dr. Octavius, very well renowned scientist, master of nanomechanics and all that. And, he would create the robotic arms just for testing and science. And then after a freak accident, was it a freak
Be
accident?
nice, man. He's not a freak. He's
No,
pretty
like-
chill.
Yeah, like, well, it was a freak accident because a radioactive leak in his lab kind of fused the arms to his nervous system.
What's freaky about that?
Bro, it's just...
He looked pretty chill. He looks like, who's Oliver Tree, the guy that did that one song? You know who I'm talking about?
No.
No.
Anyway, so, the arms would, fuse with him. It would be connected to his, his brain link. And, he would, become Dr. Octopus and, be a very, very, prominent figure in Spider-Man's life. Man, what the hell are you... Jesus Christ.
Audio listeners, please go onto Spotify and look up the name Oliver Tree.
Because apparently...
Tree, and you will find probably one of the best images I've ever seen in my life.
Octopus.
It literally looks like Dr. Octopus.
Of Dr. Octopus. Now, why wasn't he in the most recent movie? Why was it this dude that went,
He was
"Hello,
making a
Peter"?
song
Oh,
about
wait,
a
he was
breakup.
playing-
Most likely.
Oh.
That's all
Yeah, I
his
don't
music.
know.
It sounds like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Fuck. Shoot, I can't say bad things about Taylor Swift because I'm going to get attacked.
Look.
Cut it out, cut it
He
out.
Yeah.
loves the Chiefs, though.
No, well,
Well,
no.
do you?
No.
Okay.
I think my Packers are going to three-peat in the year 2026, 2027, and 2028.
Yeah. I think
2028, 2029,
They're
and
gonna
2064.
Oh, so they're going to five-peat.
yeah. But
Peter.
speaking of Dr. Octopus, I mentioned about this last episode. I might as well give an elaboration.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the comics, in Amazing Spider-Man number 698, the Superior Spider-Man story arc, right? So Dr. Octopus was dying, very old. He asks for Spider-Man to come down to see him before he died, right? And he knew he was Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked him to take out his mask, get some condolences and all that. Little did Peter know was that was a plan to swap bodies. So ultimately, Peter was stuck in Octavius' sick body, and
Sick nasty.
Octavius would be the superior Spider-Man, as he would call himself.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
what's crazy though about that being Spider-Man was that he learned about what it means to be, human again.
Doc Ock.
Yeah, because for the longest time since he had those arms,
Yeah, that
he would
makes
be
sense.
very psychotic. And then he meets a girl, I forget what her name was, but
Like me.
as Peter, and he would actually catch feelings. And then he would understand what
You
Peter's
fell in
coming
love with
from.
Peter?
No,
Come home with
I'm the man who's gonna marry you.
like it's crazy because even
I'm
Peter, even Peter learned about redemption. But I don't, about redemption. And obviously, comics heroes don't stay dead, so Peter would come back to life anyway. But I don't know, just that alone just made Doc Ock, support and honor Spider-Man's legacy in becoming the superior Spider-Man.
Interesting.
So, yeah, Doc Ock literally, and of course it's comics, so he's gonna go back to the villain. But for that time period, he went from brilliant scientist to psycho murderer to the superior Spider-Man, and then back to his old roots.
Do you know that roller coaster ride of Spider-Man, and it's a live actor, and he slams into the fucking wall, and there's a video of him he's swinging, and then he hits something, and he's just dangling there, and all these people are just oh my god. What are we? Then you see the park ranger person or whatever. He runs past them. What do we do? What do we do?
Jesus, I love how this is Spider-Man related. His fourth big villain in issue 4, coincidentally, was Sandman.
Enter.
Enter Sandman. Yep. Flint Marko, common crook criminal. Just being a normal crook.
Love that guy.
Yeah. And of course, he would fall into a super collider, which was experimenting, which formed his body into sand. So basically, he's a tank if you think about it, because all the sand he can get and just ripped his.
Oh, so the more sand he has, the bigger he is.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
Sandy cheeks.
Dude, if he goes to the beach, you're fucked.
Yeah. This is the whole.
Yo, that's a good party trick, though.
It's the whole sand. It's just,
Give me a 50-pound bag of sand.
yeah.
I'll drink it. Give me a side of Coke, though.
As a lagoon.
The fifth villain in his like the main catalog. Issue number 6 was the Lizard, Kurt Connors. This is what I was talking about. You remember you said about the British man?
I don't like that guy.
He's not British in the comics,
That's
I will
good.
tell you. But, Dr. Kurt Connors, a forensic scientist. Well, was he a forensic scientist? Well, he's a college professor.
Okay.
That Peter would, when he goes to college. Oh, he's a geneticist. That's what it was, yeah. And,
That taught Peter?
yeah.
Okay.
And, of course, he was missing an arm, right? And, he wanted to find a way to regrow that arm, so testing lizard DNA, it worked, backfired, and he would become the monster lizard.
That's kind of sad.
He seems like a chill dude, though. Like, wouldn't you want to be friends with a lizard?
Well, if he were Kurt Connors, yeah, but, like, a lizard? Like,
But he's still Kurt Connors.
no.
But he's lizard.
Because when the lizard comes in, because like most of these villains, like once they do like stuff to them, they're not thinking
just
straight.
goes like,
Yeah, they don't think about morals and stuff. Like
you
with Doc,
can train them.
So it's
like
not-
muzzle on them.
It's not like a Green Goblin like dual personality situation.
no,
it's,
it's
just
more
like
of like it shifts.
Yeah,
in the
okay.
like it was like with Doc Ock with his fused
like a light bulb.
arms. Yeah, or
Turn
lizard.
me on like a light switch.
He just turns into a wild animal.
Huh.
Even though he just wanted to grow his arm out and of course try to use that to benefit people with dismembered limbs
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
So it's really sad moment for Kurt Connors. Let's see. I'm gonna lose track of the numbers because they pop up in random issues. But issue 9 of the Amazing Spider-Man is the introduction of Electro,
Nice.
Maxwell Dillon.
The man with 2 first names.
Max.
Yeah, Maxwell Dillon. Wait, oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even notice that. Huh.
Maxwell Dill Pickle. You just needed to get rid of that last name.
Yeah. But no, so it's just Dylan. Get Dill Pickle.
Just Dylan.
Dude, locked in.
I'm locked in, bro.
Audience, it's like
He's spitting.
it's
I'm spitting facts, bro.
at the time we're recording this. It's 10:30. It's like
It's a
it's a Monday 10:30. Sam's clocked out.
Listen, bro, I'm dropping bombs like Hiroshima. You don't even
No,
know me like that.
don't.
That already happened,
We
man.
can't put that down. Actually,
What?
well,
It's just history.
yeah, Marvel's been touched on that stuff anyway, so it's fine.
They did what?
But anyway,
Thanos dropped. No, I'm joking.
no. So
Baba Booey.
so
Now your whole universe is gone. And I am Bomboclad. Flinted Bomboclad.
Sam, I think you need to take a chill.
You said the joke. It was good.
No, it was. I will admit, it was good.
This
Is he
is a Bumbleclass.
chicken Bomboclad?
Chicken Bumbleclass.
Big old bubble clock.
Those are the Bomboclads.
And bumble cup for days.
Oh.
This is a bumble cup.
This
Bumbleclad.
Anyway, back to this topic.
with great power comes great Bomboclad.
No.
Okay, stop it.
Time out.
Okay, the joke's gone dry, Sam. Anyway, so Electro, how he got. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Electro, how he got his powers. Max was an electric engineer, and while repairing a power line, and this is a description. This isn't me saying freak, but a freak lightning accident.
What the freak?
Got a real power surge, which caused him to conserve electricity. So now his power and his life source runs on electricity.
Oh, it's life source.
Yeah. So yeah, he's
So many things they don't tell you in these
So
movies.
he's like a Tesla.
literally like the Nikola Tesla power. Imagine that, but in a person. That's
He's a big
Electro.
battery.
He's like, if you compare him to most of the villains, probably the more powerful, more dangerous. Because he can go through the currents, he can screw the electrons.
Hey,
He can go through the currents?
Yeah, he can also he can even convert electronic
Like
matter
he can
to
transport through a current.
an electric current. Yeah,
Like his body goes into the electric current
He becomes a lightning.
He's
and,
Dr. Zap Zap.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shoot.
Like,
Okay.
he's...
I was gonna ask if he runs out of like that battery or whatever, like the life force. What does he? Is that like?
It wouldn't really kill him. It would
Okay.
just kind of limit his powers.
I see.
So he
he
would
would just
he would
normal
basically be
man.
he'd basically be useless.
A normal dude. Okay.
Yeah, but he's probably one of the more
He
powerful.
probably sits near the outlet at the airport.
Nah, dude, his ass would be in jail if he was sitting in the airport, being like,
Why?
"Give me that energy." I mean, he's a supervillain.
Nah, bro. Everyone knows that person that sits at the airport and takes up all the fucking chargers. It's like, bro, I got a 3-hour flight. Move your ass.
Oh, so you're saying like if Electro were in the
Yeah, he would be
airport,
that
he would be
guy.
like, all right, sorry guys, I need the outlets.
He takes his shoe off and he like puts his feet into the little plugs.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Ew.
Oh God, ugh, Jesus,
He's got to charge somehow.
that's horrible. Anyway, one of the other big villains that came out on issue 13 was Mysterio.
I like Mysterio.
What do you think?
Mysterio's cool.
What's under the helmet?
Oh, it's his face.
No, it's gas.
Oh yeah, because he's an illusionist. Illusionist. God, sorry about my dictation, but yeah, he's an illusionist. Basically, kind of close up magic, all that trickery. So I'm assuming the helmet is kind of like projecting fog image and whatnot.
So if you break the fish bowl,
You find a fish. It's like the dude from Megamind.
I know
Yeah,
you did.
minion. Yeah. But
Piranha dude.
Quentin Beck, he wasn't really an illusionist. He is an illusionist, but he was more hired as a special effects artist in like small films and stuff.
That's cool.
So basically, like his little trickery of illusions, because
Obviously,
obviously he was.
making movie sets.
Well, that's the thing, because of course these obviously Spider-Man and these villains came out in the '60s. You can't we'll talk about next episode. Like in the movies where they give technology to do illusions, at the time it would have been actually close up magic and like trickery and stuff. So I feel like it was more of like that kind of stuff. And he was an actor, of course, too. And he would obviously go on a crime spree after getting fired for I'm pretty sure it was not a freak accident, but probably like something gone wrong in filming and whatnot. But he does really trick Spider-Man, even though Peter always got that spider sense. Very interesting, to say the least.
How does he trick him?
I don't know. It's interesting because it's kind of like misdirection in this sense, but it's kind of weird. Like I'm assuming it's a sensory problem for Spider-Man, considering when danger is alerted, it's like, oh
Yeah.
So I'm assuming with his trickery and like all that, it like is a sensory havoc problem to where
Yeah.
Peter's like, I can't. Where is he? Oh God! So you have to like lock in essentially to be like, I know where they're at. It's he's interesting, I will say. Not a really deep character, but he's a big one. And then of course, issue 14, the Green Goblin.
You know who else is big?
Who?
No.
Oh. Big Smoke. I'll say that. But
You know what Craig's big smoke from there?
Jesus Christ!
All right, Sam is officially off the podcast.
No, he's good. It's
I'm joking.
okay. But no, yeah, Green Goblin will get 2 mantles: Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn. But of course, Harry was put in as to be like the whole drug advocate. Don't do that shit and whatnot. Which
That's in the comics.
yeah,
Okay.
which will explain. There was a little staple thing because I don't know, comics have like those label things where it's like approved by so and so and stuff, right? So that's how they got to pass on ideas and stories. So when the health organization asked Marvel, "Hey, can you make a comic?" Because kids are reading them. Can you make a comic to tell kids not to do drugs? So obviously, this was the '60s. They were smoking and chewing tobacco, and so they made that. And of course, it didn't get past the approval. So Marvel's like, "Fuck it, we're gonna just do it without the stamp. See what happens." And it became a big success, even though it broke the rules and protocol. Green Goblin became probably the biggest in popularity Spider-Man's villain.
So they make a villain who's telling people not to do drugs, but then this was before the 80s, so did they just not read these comics?
No, they did. That's what I'm saying. Like, it really stopped a lot, because obviously it was kind of, because remember the commercials back then, they would show like doctors and even like lawyers smoking like regularly, and obviously, adults were concerned about their kids. So it was more towards giving it to a younger audience, so that wouldn't be a problem.
If only the Peaky Blinders were around for this, they would have not died.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know how they actually died.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Womp womp.
And, but
I want to hit the bed.
not again. But yeah, it was Harry Osborn, Peter's friend. Little did we know Norman was also messing with that stuff, because he's the head of Oscorp Industry. He's got to make money somewhere. He needs to keep his business. He's a businessman. Yeah, the Willem Dafoe face.
Yeah.
He's a businessman.
But
Boppity boopity.
oh yeah, Norman's very very serious, but also pretty scary guy. Because as we all know, the Goblin serum, alter ego.
Yeah.
And that's a whole thing.
Do you think if the Green Goblin grew up in our age bracket, he would have just made like cringy TikToks and just went on with his life? Because it's like, this is my alter ego.
Probably, let's be
Like,
honest.
like filter edited into his face.
Actually, I'm gonna be honest. Probably, considering.
Maybe his teeth wouldn't have been cracked. He would have gotten off drugs.
No, honestly, I feel like if he were at this age, he'd be insane, but then he would like speak brain rot, because you can imagine him like riding in his glider, like I'm Spider-Man.
I think we're just describing Sam right now.
No, Jesus Christ.
I'm actually.
No, you're not the people here. Oh god, it's class of 28, man. I swear to God. Anyway, the next villain who would pop up in issue 15, Kraven the Hunter. This is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Sergey. No, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Yo, he is massive.
You know what else is massive?
Oh, he's like on top of Venom in that photo.
No, yeah, he's a very he's a hunter, of course, and he's also tackled other superheroes too, not just Spider-Man, Black Panther, Tiger, and all that stuff, and like we said, half brother of a chameleon and all that.
Yo, he's
Dude,
a
wait,
pimp.
hold on. He looks like Freddie Mercury.
I don't know if they modeled him off of him. I actually
No, it was early. This is earlier than Freddie Mercury.
This was 1968, so I'm
I'm
assuming.
Did he have a buff ass mustache when he grew up?
Freddie Mercury saw that guy. Was like, I know what I'm gonna do.
It's like I'm gonna be Kraven.
He's like, he thinks of Bohemian Rhapsody immediately when he sees that body.
But yeah, so unlike Chameleon,
Spider-Man.
unlike Chameleon, who became like a crime, basically a criminal head, right? Kraven would be well, they both are immigrants, of course, but
Of course.
he would basically,
They're Russian.
he would train himself to be like,
Those commies.
Right?
well, yeah, he's,
Yeah, they're Russian.
but he would train himself to be like this biggest hunter
The Russian
ever.
team.
So when he came to New York and heard about this Spider-Man thing, he would put his skills to the test and try to kill and hunt down basically Spider-Man to call himself the greatest hunter in the world. And there are times in the comics where because like it's described his powers like he's got actual powers of super strength, but I think it's just more of his skill and like tenacity. Considering, he would train himself in the wild. Hence the little lion tiger suit he's got there.
Yeah.
But there are times where he would get powers from lion DNA or all that stuff. But it's only a few times that's ever happened. Yeah, like Alex the Lion. Alex the Lion.
I like to move it.
Who would win in a fight, Kraven or Alex the Lion?
I would like to think more.
I think, yeah, I was gonna say, more comes out with a loaded Glock.
Yeah. Dude, I was watching this video about, this is totally off topic.
No,
but
you're good.
It's like 2 4-hour videos about how Mort is just legitimately a god that has multiple personality disorder.
Oh.
And he's like an interdimensional like being that can travel through time and different universes. And that's all based on the Madagascar show, or like the King Julian show.
King Julian show.
The Madagascar movies, and then the Penguins show.
It's gotta be because you know that song in Madagascar where it's like physically fit, physically fit. That's why
Physically
bro, he's so physically fit because he's going in between universes.
No, his little body going physically fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing ab crunches.
I want a nice, sweet, fantastic.
No, I feel like no. If you put the Penguins next to Craven, like versus,
Yo,
it'd be-
Kowalski.
no, that's Rico. Boom. Sam, you said the wrong
Oh,
Penguin.
Kowalski's the smart dude.
Yeah,
Kowalski is the smart guy.
it's Rico. That's the. He's got like a dynamite.
Who's the main guy? The douchebag, bro.
Skipper?
Yeah, fuck that dude. I hate
What?
Skipper.
I like it.
Kowalski
Well, no, isn't-
analysis.
Like
Yeah.
Skipper is like. I don't-
Skipper sounds like the
I
guy
don't
that
love
has like
him.
the crossed eyes. Who's that one?
What?
The one that's like,
Rico.
is that him?
You mean private? No,
No,
privacy.
private.
Yeah,
Yo,
private.
private's the run of the group, bro. He's the real.
Private's a
Wait, are they
show.
brothers?
Yeah.
They're technically adopted brothers, basically.
Okay.
So
But I
Oh,
think
well.
Skipper's like an integral part of that crew. He's like the glue that holds them all together.
he's very attractive.
Nah,
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to do the Skipper voice. He's very attractive.
I have
bro.
no idea
Nah,
how it
he's
sounds.
not him.
I forget.
Like
Kowalski analysis.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
They don't need direction.
I am a sheep. Anyway,
Big
so
Wengen.
off topic. I brought up the Penguins
Oh,
because
wait,
Craven.
that's Batman. Not I was like, oh, it's the Penguin. Are we gonna talk about the Penguin? That's
No,
Batman.
that's we're Spider Man. What's wrong with you?
Dude, I'm gonna get cooked. I'm gonna get.
No, you're good. No, you're
Mainly
good.
by Sam's girlfriend.
Issue 20 is when Scorpion came in. Of the Amazing Spider-Man.
okay.
So Mac Gargan.
The Scorpion King. I love the Scorpion King.
No, not Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Scorpion. What's wrong with you?
That was
I
a
like-
shit ass movie.
What was I thinking of? Oh, you know what a Rat King is?
Yeah,
It's when like a bunch of rats have their tails tied together and they just can't get apart.
yeah.
This is scary,
Average
But,
day in New York.
for real.
No, the crazy thing, which we'll get into like notable comics. I'm gonna bring this up now. Scorpion, Mac Gargan is a private investigator. His appearance was a notable part of the Spider-Man comics because that was the comic where he almost exposed Peter Parker's identity.
Oh,
He was hired by J. Jonah Jameson to get it done.
They should have just called him JJ.
Triple J.
But yeah, eventually he would just
Jack.
yeah,
Right.
but eventually he would just make he would get a suit made for him, and it'd be a Scorpion. So the next time he would come across Peter, he would try to
Get him.
paralyze and
Yeah.
get him.
Bring him in.
Yeah. So
That's really cool, actually. I never knew that.
I didn't know that either. That's news for me.
That sleazy J. Jonah Jameson. That sleazy Triple J.
That guy Scorpion's that's probably the newest thing I've ever heard Scorpion. Because I'm gonna be honest, I never was found of Scorpion as a villain. Like I thought he looked cool, I just never.
I like to. My only experience with Scorpion is the battle or the boss battle in the game, the PS4 game, and I enjoyed it. It was it was like probably my second favorite, third favorite, because it's just like really trippy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll shut up.
So issue 41 is where we introduced Rhino,
Oh, Rhino.
another Russian. Alesky still. I can't even pronounce his
It's
last name.
almost like this is during the Cold War era. And
It
they're just
was.
Like, we hate Russia.
Oh no, it was.
No, I know. I'm joking.
Well, yeah, because his appearance was in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And little Alesky, he was a low-rank Russian mafia, so he wasn't really the brightest bulb in his group. But he did decide to. He literally willingly decided to get tested in chemical and radiation treatments to turn into the Rhino.
Really?
Literally, yeah, he's not the brightest bulb and decided, hey, let me test myself and be this giant guy stuck in the Rhino suit. Which is the terrifying thing about this experience. You would think it was just a suit, but it's infused to his body. It became his body, like organically.
Oh, that's kind of gross.
Do you think his skin inside fades into gray?
I think.
That'd be crazy.
Well, I think in one of the comics they said something about it burned into the skin, so it's like.
50 Shades of Rhino.
By the calendar.
That wasn't even that good of a joke.
by the calendar today.
Well, maybe. But
It's just slightly different shades of the same gray.
yeah. But he's a massive truck, and he knows how to pack a walling. But he's not like Juggernaut, where
Just like a Peterbilt.
yeah, they both are. They both are massive, and they'll take things down. But with Juggernaut, once he starts moving, he's not stopping.
Is
With
Juggernaut Spider-Man?
No, he's
Okay.
X-Men.
He's just
but this is a
Marvel, yeah.
comparison. It's because Rhino, he's not the brightest bulb, so Spider-Man could literally find a way to take his big ass down. While with the Juggernauts, you can't stop.
Hey Rhino, look at this. He's holding like a red piece of cloth.
Ole.
Honestly, I feel like, well, that might have happened.
Maybe. Issue 46, where we introduce Shocker. Herman
Shocker?
Schultzman. I know not a lot of people like remember Shocker. Like I remember him from
He
the
sounds like Electrode, but like
Shocker?
yeah.
Walmart version.
Here's a photo.
Great value version of Shocker. Looks like the Flash.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yo,
does
he's in
Shocker
front
do?
of the train.
I've never heard
Did
of
he
Shocker.
die by a train?
Well, the crazy thing though is that he was a high school dropout. I don't remember which school it was, but he was an inventor engineer. So
Bro
he
didn't
would
need school.
he he didn't, because he ended up going and robbing. He didn't decide to drop out and be like, I'm gonna be better than people. I'm gonna make inventions. He just
He's
started
better than
robbing.
people.
So eventually he would create gauntlets that would infuse vibration frequency.
Okay.
Hence Shocker. So when he would go rob a bank, the walls kaput from the frequency of sound.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how insane it is for Peter to try to take a swing at him, and then with the frequency just
Just push him back.
Yeah, shoot him through the walls.
That's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So not discount Electro.
It's like discount Thanos. I'm a legend, Thanos.
None of those stuff.
I like you.
I don't. Jesus.
None of the things you're saying today.
Here's a villain that you probably wouldn't expect to be in his rogue gallery that showed up in issue
That's
50.
a big man.
Yeah, the Kingpin.
Oh, I love Kingpin.
Yeah,
Kingpin.
a lot of people probably associate him with Daredevil.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you chunking?
but
I did not think that.
Yeah,
I have not seen Daredevil. I should see Daredevil. I've heard good things.
really good. But no, Wilson Fisk, very. He was always in the life of crime lords. Even his dad was a crime lord.
Oh, really?
But he was belittled because his size. When he was a kid, he was chunker kid. Yeah. So he would grow up to be
So then
this.
he killed everyone by making money.
He's like Stalin if you call Stalin fat, and he just sends you to the gulag, which means just he kills you.
He's
Yeah,
Jeff
but-
Bezos, but his alter ego.
Yeah, but basically, Kingpin he would basically become like the crime overlord of New York City as a whole. And a lot of people, when they look at him, they're like, "Damn, he's a chonky boy."
Do you think they based him off of Al Capone?
Maybe.
Oh, most definitely. Just without the hair, I guess.
I think
They
so.
also made
What
sure,
can we make different? He's bald now.
Yeah, but no, he's
Wowzers.
he's mostly muscle. It's crazy.
He's like what's that one body lifter guy that's like Ron whatever. He's like super big. That's him under that suit. He's just like this big chunky dude.
Did you
that,
not
like-
hear what I just said? He's not even a chunky dude.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I
like-
meant like he's
Oh,
buff.
like yeah, okay. But
Did you
he's
say Ron? Who's Ron?
Let me find Ron.
Weasley?
No, not.
yeah, it's weird. Like his family was like part of a crime thing, but he was mostly poor for his life. That's the crazy thing. It's confusing. It
Ronnie
changes.
Coleman.
It changes a lot if you
This dude.
read the.
Oh.
Baba Booey.
It changes depending on which comic you read, but in reality, he lived a poor life in the city, and of course, bullied as a fat kid. Oh God, this is a long list of
He was just big boned.
big road gallery. Morbius in
Morbius.
issue 101. Michael Morbius. Oh yeah, you guys know
What
You guys know
is-
Morbius.
I haven't seen the movie. I don't want to.
Really?
I've heard bad things about that movie.
I thought everyone in the U.S. watched that movie.
No, I
And
think it was
South
like one of
Korea.
the lowest grossing film.
But yeah.
It was not a great grossing film.
But Michael Alexander Morbius, he was a Greece person. He was born and raised
He's
in Greece.
Greek.
Yep,
That's kind of cool.
it's cool. But he was a very studious guy.
What was his like? I don't want to say gimmick. What were his powers?
Well, considering he was trying to cure himself from a rare disease he got, he decided, what about bat blood? and he would become Morbius. And it makes sense he was experimenting because he was a biochemist and biologist.
Wait a minute. Okay. So Morbius, the movie, came out in what, 2019?
Yeah.
COVID came out in 2020. Who the fuck thought they were going to be Morbius, bro? Who? I'm on to something.
Only time
now,
would tell.
Right now, bro.
That's the first like
Patient Zero?
coherent thing you've said today.
Patient Zero thought he was going to be Morbius. Or she.
I
or
saw
they.
I saw a video where a dude went to see it like 7 days in a row in theaters.
Oh, God.
And his facial expressions progressively got
everyone,
worse.
Like, he just went nuts.
Yeah. But no, he basically is like a modern day vampire by the time he was made. It was crazy too, is like his hands, I don't know how the science backs it up, but there would be like little suction holes. So because he'll either bite people or use suction holes too
So
and
it's
get the
like
blood
Vecna
out of it.
from Stranger Things.
Yeah. But
Sucks their soul. What, you haven't?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
yeah.
Should watch it
But-
because the Broadway thing's out.
There's a Broadway Stranger Things.
It's a play. It looks really good. Like, actually really good.
Okay, here's one that I didn't hear of and I just found out that came out in issue 129. His name is Jackal.
And hide.
I feel like I've heard.
Speaking about Broadway.
I can't tell if he's a goblin. Like the photo I'm looking at, guys, he looks like a goblin, but he's Miles Warren, a professor of biology.
Biochemistry.
Yeah.
Warren.
Oh, Warren! I remember Warren. Okay, they changed his look a lot in like adaptations from when I saw him. Because the first time I saw him was in the '90s Spider-Man, and he did not look like
Dr. Warrior.
he did not look like Jackal.
It's a very old comic book image for context.
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy.
Well, I'm trying to.
East Raspberry University.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's
so
Empire State
so
University.
Warren, he kind of went on a vengeance streak because of Gwen's death, apparently. Yeah, he just was experimenting. He cloned a frog. Oh yeah, he's the reason about the clone saga, which
Clone Wars.
so the clone no. Well, yeah, we might as well touch on this because it's a very big comic book. We probably touched two of them, Peter's Secret Identity and now the Clone Saga. So the Clone Saga, basically Warren, he was messing around with like trying to clone like bodies because he kind of fell in love with Gwen while she was dating with Peter, and so learning that he was the cause of Peter let Gwen die, which was a big staple. We all know tarnished Peter's
Reputation.
life,
Oh.
his mentality. Warren decided, let me try to clone Gwen.
So he's an incel.
Oh.
Yeah, basically, Warren cloned Gwen, cloned Peter, and
Why clone Peter?
he would become the clone
So
would become
to make
Scarlet
him
Spider.
the cuck this time around. He's
That's-
like,
that
"Watch
much
me
I know.
do this to Gwen."
But I do
So
know
the
with
new Gwen would be Scarlet Spider.
no, the clone Peter, which you probably heard the name Ben Reilly, would become the Scarlet Spider.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically in that story, I remember looking it up and. I read it as like it was terrifying and like big step. And I remember a lot of people were like, "Why do you say that? I don't see it. It's a clone story." Well, the terrifying thing is how Peter had to basically grapple and learn and move on from Gwen's death when he had to watch a clone of Gwen in person. It's emotional torment.
Yeah.
So you can blame Jackal for the Clone Saga.
Lovely.
Yeah, and then here's the cat of the group, coincidentally, in issue 194, Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. The as the weebs call her, the sexy girl of the comics.
The fuck?
That's what I said. Whatever, like, look at it. Look at it. Like, people look at that and go, oh.
Bro, she's got a latex suit on. This is not that type of comic.
That's fair.
That's
yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's for the Cartoon Network at night.
Yeah. Oh, the Adult Swim.
Nice.
But no, what's crazy too is that Black Cat, Felicia, her dad Walter was actually the first Black Cat.
Walter White.
So did the suit just like
No. So because obviously when he was the first Black Cat, right? Felicia was a kid, right? Mm-hmm. So he would lie about being a salesman when in reality he was, cat burglar.
Yeah.
And so eventually he would get caught, get arrested. So Felicia tried to basically go out and do the crime herself while trying to get her father out of prison. And meanwhile, during that time, Peter and her would mingle, and there'd be a lot of ooh.
Wow.
While Peter was also talking to MJ and still moving on from Gwen.
Damn.
So
Dude,
Felicia,
Peter's a player.
What the heck?
oh yeah, and Felicia Hardy was basically
He's getting around.
She was seducing Peter basically the
Dude,
entire
she's
run.
a
He kills
Fortnite
one
character.
girlfriend, then tries to date 2 more.
I think the interesting thing about
Yo.
no, I think the interesting thing about her relationship with Peter, she only liked him for Spider-Man, right? And obviously he would in his own time find out she's Felicia, right? So at some point in the comics they would have a relationship as the masked people, right? And eventually one night Peter would release his mask because he trusts her so much about his identity, and she was not having it. She wasn't pissed. She was more disappointed because she fell in love with the mystery and the mask and the Spider-Man, not
So
Not
she
Peter
just wants to
Parker.
mature her.
So she's just stupid.
Yeah, she just likes the mystery. Like
She likes
ooh
being
la
the
la.
side piece.
Yeah,
El Bozo.
yeah. Issue 212 was the introduction of Hydro Man, Morris Bench.
So
Sorry,
like Electrode would just kill him. Bench.
Morris
Bench is a wild. Yo, imagine seeing his name on a bench.
Well,
That would just.
This bench is dedicated to Morris Bench.
This bench is for Mr. Bench. Who's Mr. Bench?
I like that. That's funny, but it's crazy though because he was a crewman on a cargo ship, and in an accident he actually got his powers from, I forget how it happened, but basically
Freak accident.
yeah, a freak accident, and obviously he would be water, and so Hydro Man.
So, was he like only water, or could he be like a normal person?
He can be a normal like Sandman.
then
He
be
can like
water.
he can like Sandman. He can form a normal body.
Oh, so if he touches the ocean, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so he can turn into liquid, but he's not sucking the liquid.
No.
Or is he suck
Oh,
liquid?
he can't.
Well, if
absorb more?
he gets injured, he can fill up more. And when he does fill up more, when he's
But there's like a capacity.
well, no, it's like Sandman. When he gets more, he's
Yeah.
like
So he can desire
Massive.
to pick up
Yeah.
more water.
yeah, kind of like Sandman when he desires to pick up
How
more
would that
sand.
feel? Like you just like
Oh, yeah, the comics go deep into that. Actually, let's get into. No, they don't.
They really don't like all you
being
can
a Steve Jobs.
because that's like with the
It's all his fault.
because that's like with the arc reactor. It's like how do they do or like how Iron Man's suit flies? How does it work? Oh, it's just the arc reactor and my intelligence. It's like that, or like the Fantastic Four. How the space waves affected your molecules? It just did.
Yeah, just the suspension.
Or the
of
super
disbelief.
soldier serum. How did you guys manage to get the peak of that? Oh, we did testosterone. That's all you need to know. It's
Yeah,
just I don't know.
the
We did
classic Marvel
steroids.
cop out. You need to suspend your disbelief, but
it's the
promise
average
it
Marvel
works.
explanation. It just kind of does.
Yeah. Hobgoblin in issue.
we talked about him last
yeah.
Abdul.
So this is gonna be a small talk in issue 283. So like I said, he's Ned Lees in the comics. He's another worker at the Daily Bugle, and
What do they all work at
Isn't
that
he
place?
Spider-Man's friend? Is he Ned?
in the movies he's Spider-Man's friend, but in the comics he's his colleague.
Okay.
He's his colleague, and something
That's an
happened.
interesting choice.
Yeah, but something happened. He like got fired or something. So eventually, he would take revenge on Spider-Man for tarnishing his like reputation in the newspapers, and become Hobgoblin. And basically, I don't remember if he stole or built the glider, but yeah. And of course, Green Goblin wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah, just kind of like a Temu version. It seems.
Yeah, they got in the comics. They even banter too if they run into each other.
Oh
Like,
really?
oh,
That's
Norman's not really too excited about
To
it.
be
I wouldn't-
honest-
I wouldn't be.
We should do a sequel to this podcast instead of because after we get done with all the superheroes, then what? We should do characters from The Office.
That would be a very quick podcast.
That would be.
But then there's the British Office.
But I don't. I've watched like 3 episodes.
You
That's
want
all you need to
It
know.
just isn't. It just isn't.
Yeah,
But it's in Squanton.
and obviously here's
The Electric City.
Would I conduct the Electric City?
yeah. But as we all know, we talked about Venom. The Eddie Brock Venom showed up in issue 300. But to give a little context of his origin from Secret Wars. So I went to look back to fix my statement from last episode. It was a space rock, but of course it was in Battle War. It was stored in a machinery.
Okay.
So ultimately, Peter would have it. It would bond with him. It'd be a mess, and so the symbiote
left it.
Yeah, and so Eddie Brock, how he came to be, he was also a news reporter in the rival Bugle, that was against the Daily Bugle.
Wow.
So it's crazy because like his life turned upside down when he failed to investigate and get the man who committed a murder, which Peter and Spider-Man, Spider-Man found out was Eddie's neighbor. So that tarnished Eddie's reputation. He got fired. His wife dumped him, and he found out he had cancer.
Man, that sounds like.
And then he turned into Deadpool.
No. That's fucking Wade Wilson. But
That's Ryan Reynolds.
But ultimately, I think it was. I forget at one point. Oh, it was kind of like the Raimi trilogy where they adapted the church thing. When Peter took out the symbiote, it would go into Eddie, and ultimately they both would be bonded and become Venom. And obviously, considering that they both were like, fuck Spider-Man, the Venom would make the symbol. And thus, one of Peter's other top... Yes, Owen.
I have a thought. So when was Venom first released?
The movie?
Like...
Or the comic?
The comic.
1988, like the official
88.
Character Venom. Not the symbiote from
Okay.
Secret Wars, just the character.
Oh.
So he's based off of Black Tar heroin.
No,
No.
I'm wondering
Alter
if
ego.
he's based off of the alien from Aliens. Or from Alien. The movie.
Maybe.
Because I watched Aliens like last September, August, and I don't know. That's a good movie, but it's just kind of been like a little like I wonder in my mind where it's like, is Venom based on Alien?
Well, the funny thing too is that the idea of making the symbiote actually came from a unused concept art of a black suit Spider-Man.
That's
And
interesting.
then it was Black Suit said.
Yeah, but they
Let's make it.
decided, family didn't like it, and then when the one guy created the Secret Wars comics, he's like, oh, I think I have an idea how to make this work. So we got the symbiote.
That's cool.
But and then of course his offspring, who showed up in issue 361, Carnage.
Wasn't he his boss in the movies or something like that?
What? No, that's
Carnage was the
no.
boss.
That was in the second movie. It was what was his name? Oh, it's Riot. Riot was basically Venom's boss.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the villain you're looking for. But Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, a very psychotic man, as you know from the movies.
Yeah.
He's a very psychotic dude. So, he was in the same prison as Eddie was. This was after the whole Venom thing. Venom comes back, breaks Eddie out. Little did we know, it opened Cassidy's cell, and Venom left a little offspring of his, a little red goo, which bonded with Cletus, and little did they know, Carnage would be formed and would be a very big adversary. He may be skinny compared to Venom, but dude, Carnage can pack a wallop.
I like Carnage. He can make a sword out of his fingers.
The weird thing though is if you look at him in the comics, this isn't a good picture, but there are moments where they're shooting him and he's twisted like silly string.
That's cool.
And but it's weird though because you know how symbiotes they bond with it, they cover the body, and Venom, of course, it's a body there. Mm-hmm. Somehow Carnage is Cletus's body somewhere whenever it's
like a metamorphosis, it's like a caterpillar just becoming goop.
Say for example,
Metamorphosis.
Yeah.
say for example, if you say cut up a balloon in small little civets and it's like a waving thing. Imagine Carnage does that. Where the hell's the body? Where's Cletus's body?
Yeah.
But no, it's cool because even Carnage, he's more creative than, Spider-Man. No, Venom. So he would, fly sometimes.
He just grows wings.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
And then his most
Really?
recent,
That's really cool.
and then his most recent big, villain, which came out in 2008, in issue 546, was Mr. Negative.
He's a cool guy.
But two of him makes positive.
Mr. Positive.
Mr. Positive. But
It's just Mr. Brightside.
yeah, Martin Lee, Chinese immigrant, you know?
China. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm wondering if there's anything with like the U.S. and not liking China with that. But what year?
Probably.
2008.
2008. Though what's crazy though is
that would
that
have been like a Middle
Probably, like-
Eastern guy.
though what's
probably.
weird though is that his
Yeah,
powers
been, like,
came.
a housing crisis.
I'm gonna look racist. I'm so sorry, guys.
What is weird though is that his powers came after a storm and a ship crashed and all that stuff, and he survived but got these negative powers, which
So how do those all work?
I think it's those are
You
really.
can only subtract.
Oh wait, no, he does have a positive. He is a Mr. Positive. You're right. He
I
does have
knew
a
it.
person. He does have another personality, Mr. Positive.
Oh, so just good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
From the Lego movie?
Yeah. Basically, he basically alters dark forces. So think of like
Okay.
dark matter, but if it was like
It can
a power.
manipulate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that
it's
really matters.
so that's all of Spider-Man's like top main villains. That took a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I knew this part was going to take forever. But, you know, since we're on the topic of Spider-Man's villains, Peter's, you know, main Sinister Six group he faces.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can list
Oh,
off.
it's different.
Yeah, this is the original group that came out during the time in the 1964. Wait,
What a year.
maybe no, yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man Annual is a different issue that came out in 1964.
Okay.
So now we already talked about our introduction to the list, right? Let me go down the list of the original Sinister Six.
Okay.
We got Kraven the Hunter, Mysterio, Dr. Octopus, Vulture, Sandman, and Electro. Those are the
Okay.
original
That's
Sinister Six.
I'm just processing that.
Yeah.
That's odd. I don't know.
And of course, you know, Doc Ock would lead the group, being
Yeah.
like, I need upper hand, even though I have my forearms. But, and in the comics too, it changes a lot. So, but those were the original Sinister Six,
OGs.
yeah. So let me touch on at least a few other comics that were notable in Peter's life. We already touched on Gwen Stacy's death, which we know was a big staple in Spider-Man's arc and all that. Another one we talked about was the identity of Spider-Man. I forget which one it was called. But, yeah. That was another thing we talked about. Oh, and the Clone Saga we also talked about. That was another big thing. Another big thing that happened in the comics was his wedding with Mary Jane.
Spider-Man?
Yeah. Like Peter marrying...
I don't know they get married.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
It happened in 1987.
Is he
And,
now Uncle Ben?
well, this was more of like him like...
Rice!
He's back with the Rice.
Full circle.
But no, basically, this comic was kind of like showing he finally moved on from Gwen.
Okay.
So MJ was more of like a new path. He can start a new life. He's moved on.
I can do the upside down kiss. It's
Yeah.
all good.
Wait, so you're talking about...
Mary Jane
Oh,
Spider-Man.
I thought you were... I forget that MJ and or Aunt May are two different people.
Oh,
Uncle May is
ill.
crazy.
Oh.
But no, it's really interesting considering how MJ like Lou left the life of like getting men and like modeling and stuff to settle down, and obviously Peter moving on. And
Getting men.
like I said earlier, they the comic rules Peter and MJ can't have a happy life together. They can't get married, so this marriage ran for 20 years. And I think the statement or the overall idea was, would you really want to see Spider-Man live a happy life? Everyone's here for his teenage life.
We must turn him young.
I don't know. It's... What?
Ew. Well, because he was old and he got married and lived a happy life, and then everyone's like, that's boring as shit. So
Yeah.
we're gonna make him young again.
You know, I would like to talk about
In
the...
Taiwan.
I would like to talk about the Ultimate Universe comic. 'Cause that's another notable comic of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. So obviously it's the same as the Amazing Spider-Man comic, right? but obviously certain things are different. So like Venom in that universe was actually an experiment made by Eddie's dad and Peter's dad, and Eddie saw it as a way to cure cancer and all that stuff. But obviously it never.
Yeah.
Thing. And Carnage, well, Gwen's death would be, I don't know how she, I think she died from Carnage, because I do know Carnage, he was essentially created from Peter's blood by Dr. Connors in the Ultimate Comics.
So she wasn't like a normal human?
No, because like at that point, the Carnage blood that they thought they discarded would take the form of Gwen Stacy, so it would make people believe Gwen's alive. Oh my god! And we find out it's Carnage in the Ultimate Universe.
Huh.
Yeah. Interesting too about Ultimate Universe Spider-Man is Doc Ock's arms. Even though they cut him off, even though they melt him and stuff, he would, because he still has the Ultra Link in his neck. He can just make it out of anything. Like
Some Darth Maul type shit.
yeah, it's wild to think about.
That is.
And I'm trying to think of another thing different in the Ultimate Comics. Oh, the Clone Saga story, like I mentioned for Spider-Man. It would be Doc Ock who would be hired by S.H.I.E.L.D. to make clones. So
Oh.
Spider-Woman, and there's an evil Spider-Man and all that. And so Peter would have to face the fact that, whoa, this is technically my sister. Doc Ock, what the hell are you doing?
Hired by S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah. Literally, Ultimate Comics is insane for Peter, because, like, they're like, oh, you need to be recruited, or, oh, because, like, you know how, Sam, we talked about, and we talked about, Peter balancing his life in high school and stuff. Well, in the Ultimate Comics, they took a turn and, like, let's balance his high school life and normal superhero tendency against with, like, super government hero work. So it was kind of a bantering between Peter and those guys. And ultimately, in the comics, that's another big thing in the comics that happened in Ultimate Universe is his death. And that's another thing about...
Really?
Yeah. And Goblin in the comics, he actually turns into an actual giant goblin. So if you remember, which adapted to Spider-Verse, if you remember that giant flying goblin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What you'll learn next episode that many of the character choices were adapted from Ultimate Spider-Man and not the main Spider-Man. So basically, Peter dies in the Ultimate
Like
Comics.
the dinosaur spider.
Yeah.
Then.
That's also real in the comics.
Really?
Yeah, it's in the
I
Ultimate
didn't
Universe.
know that.
But no, yeah. So, Peter's death happened in the Ultimate Comics, and Miles took the mantle.
Yeah.
Miles is a great character, and that's another big thing. The Spider-Verse too. Like Miles, Peter would end up running into other Spider people like Miguel O'Hara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember him from the Spider-Verse movie.
But Miguel O'Hara, 2099. Apparently in the future, like they never kept anything from the 21st century.
Oh.
So when recreating the powers, it didn't go so well. So he would get the talons, the terrible ice, the enhanced eyesight. He wouldn't really be Spider-Man, to say the least. And his webs are organic too.
Interesting. And even in the comics, Peter's aren't.
His was always
Okay.
you built
Plastic.
it. Well, he would
Kills
make
the turtles.
he made the web.
Fucking Peter.
No, he would make the web and all that. But Miguel's was more natural. So
Interesting.
yeah, and Miles, the spider that they recreated, because that's another thing about the Ultimate Comics is that Norman and S.H.I.E.L.D. were tracking Peter's powers, even though S.H.I.E.L.D. was trying to help him. And so they tried recreating the spider's serum. Hence, Goblin's transformation and all the other villains in the Ultimate Comics. It's a whole ordeal. So when they perfected it again, it bit Miles. And little did we know,
Voila.
we got
Miles.
Miles Morales with his electric powers and invisibility. That's another
That's
villain.
right, he does have electric
Yeah.
powers.
That's another villain I didn't touch on. Because I know he's a big villain in the...
Miles Morales?
No. His...
Miles Teller.
No. Prowler. So in the Ultimate Comics, he's the big bad, and he's his uncle, Aaron Davis. Yeah. In the, because I want to touch on him because he's a big part of the Ultimates, but he's not big in the main Amazing Spider-Man comic. But he's actually a different person. His name is Hobie Brown. So
he's not related to Miles.
no, he
That's
was. Yeah.
I like the addition of it being his uncle. Because it's kind of cool that his dad's a cop and then his uncle's...
The Hobie Brown Prowler from the Amazing Spider-Man main comics was just a window washer and got fired, so he just became a crime fighter. It's kind of boring, but hey, the Ultimate Spider-Man, they kind of made him a lot cooler and made him Miles' uncle. So it's really fun. But there's not a lot about the Ultimate Universe I could talk about. There is one thing I could talk about modern Peter, which I was going to tell you were going to be triggers for the audience if they decide to listen. Paul.
McCartney.
No. Let me explain.
Okay.
So in Earth 22321, there's a guy named Paul Rabin. This guy has, in the world of comics, which I found out, pissed off a lot of comic readers in these modern Amazing Spider-Man stories.
Okay.
So he was a son of a villain called the Emissary, right? And ultimately, when Peter and MJ moved to another dimension, they would run into Paul. So, Paul was he was a very brilliant guy, mathematical quantum mechanics guy, and obviously because his dad's a villain, he decided to, kill his dad to get rid of the evil and stuff. Ultimately, we would find out that that after the whole Earth collidings and stuff, he would survive, right? Mm-hmm. And surviving that, he would get into Earth 616, meet Peter and MJ. And so a whole debacle happened, and I think it was MJ or Peter I think it was MJ that accidentally sent Peter out of the dimension. So he was trapped basically for however long it is, because obviously dimensional travel in the comics is very different, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where, people get pissed. He comes back. It's 4 years later. MJ's married to Paul. They adopt 2 kids. So he fucked Peter's life over.
Yeah.
And Peter's pissed because knowing that he's the son of a villain. Paul's not really a villainous guy, but he was smart enough to basically get all that around.
Yeah.
And you would think, in Peter's defense, because he's a superhero, he's at this point he's an A-lister, like Doctor Strange, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Wolverine, Hulk, and all them. Mm-hmm. You would think he would, MJ would understand and all that stuff. No, she defends Paul and goes, "You don't understand. He goes through all this stuff. I love him. You don't understand." And poor Peter, because he's lived his life. He sacrificed his life for MJ and everything.
Yeah.
Then
she just drops him.
Yeah, Paul basically manipulated and lied just to be fit into the main timeline and be in a life with MJ. Now, I don't know if they resolved or whatever happened in that comic, but it seems like people just keep talking about that comic and be like, "Fucking Paul."
Fuck Paul. That's crazy.
It's kind of like those war stories where it's like, "You cheated on me."
Yeah. But I was gone in a different dimension for 4 years, and then that's a debacle.
Military personnel.
That's a debacle.
Yeah. Literally, Peter's gone through his villains, even gods too. We've talked about his comics with the Avengers and the X-Men stuff. Mm-hmm. Which we have enough time. So let me talk about some small stuff from the comics that I do know and I would like to share with you guys. Okay. So we all know the Civil War story.
Yeah.
And obviously you guys seen the movies, he never reveals his identity. In the comics he does. To get, to convince Peter that what Tony's side is the right side, it would make sense he would realize the identity. So he did, and it broke a lot of the morals. So Aunt May was pissed. Mary Jane, because obviously they were in a relationship, very confused. And just like in the movies you guys watched, which they adapted from the comics, he would get the Iron Spider suit. Yeah. But I want to show you the Iron Spider suit because I love it in the comics. It's so much cooler. Basically, you know how everyone in the MCU, which we will touch on a bit next episodes, when they're like, "Oh, Spider-Man he's what's it called? Iron Man Jr." Well, in the original comics, you can say he is Iron Man Jr.
Oh yeah. It is in Fortnite?
Mm-hmm. Well, they added it in the Fortnite.
I like that, though.
But, no, it's cool, too, because, during the fights and the battles of Civil War and stuff, Peter would then, not trust, Tony Stark with his morals, which Tony would be like, "Oh, give me the suit or I'm coming after you," and all that stuff. So, another cool thing in the comics is the body swap with Wolverine and Peter, and this was in the Ultimate Comics, not the main one. So, in the Ultimate Comics, he he would run into the X-Men, right? And he would get a body swap with Wolverine and Spider-Man Wolverine, you know? So Peter and Wolverine's body's like, oh, what? I'm a short guy. I smell like shit. And claws. While Logan and Wolverine and Spider-Man's body's like, ugh, why am I so scrawny? Your suit's tight. And then looks at MJ and goes, hot mama.
That's wild.
And you want to know the only reason why the body swap ever happened?
Sure. Yeah.
Peter Parker can't stop thinking about how hot Jean Grey is. Oh yeah, you don't watch X-Men. What about you? Okay, so Jean Grey in the comics is a what's it called? Omega level mutant, psychokinesis, right?
Okay.
You've probably heard the Phoenix, maybe.
I've heard of, yes.
Yeah, she would become the Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Peter wanted to get with her.
Yeah, he kept thinking about it because obviously she can read minds. She's like, so it was kind of like just like
I see.
It was just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But it was the funniest thing that ever happened.
Huh.
So yeah, another good thing about Peter with his love life.
Peter's a whore.
You mean a player? You mean?
No, he a whore.
I mean, he was
Yeah.
cheating on MJ with Black Cat. So yeah,
That's shitty. That's very shitty.
yeah, that makes sense. You know.
I like settled down Peter a lot.
So why would he get mad about Paul then? Unless
Well, he was a
was gay,
teenager
bro,
at that
let's
point.
be
With the
real.
Paul story, he was an adult.
Well, but still.
Paul likes men.
He married MJ.
It's
yeah,
a beard.
Men Joe.
Men
Joe.
Mr. Joe.
Mr. Joe.
Mr. Joe Mama.
Oh, man.
No!
Not my mama.
It's not mine.
Please.
Oh, there's another thing I found out recently. Remember the whole great power comes with great responsibility in the comics?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lie.
There's no grip.
Because
power.
apparently, I forget what
responsibility.
issue it was, but Marvel decided to retcon that. And apparently, Uncle Ben always said with great power comes great expenses.
Damn it. Rice is not that expensive.
Man, it is not. He's like, that's
That's
so
just
dumb.
microwavable.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Expensive?
Like, they literally changed it, and then they were like...
You gotta buy a house, Peter.
Because in the comics, they were like, oh yeah, he's always
2008.
said that. He's always said that. I don't know. It's...
Dumb.
Yeah. I don't know. But,
Gotta buy rice, Peter.
yeah.
It's $1.
But as far as we know right now, Peter's living a good life in the comics in Queens, his own apartment, being Spider-Man, your friendly neighborhood, coming across his
With
villains.
the whole building, bro.
Yeah.
Do we know his address?
No.
Man.
I've been to his house.
Yeah. But, hey.
Yeah, I was there. I forgot what the street name was.
Yeah, he goes to a different school. I swear he's real, though.
Yeah, I helped
Maybe.
build that Death Star.
But,
That's
yeah.
fucking cool.
But, hey, you guys learned a lot about the comics and their character origins. So
That's true.
What do we?
I learned a lot of characters.
what was your favorite thing to learn, if you can even remember, Owen?
Oh.
Flint and Steel.
It was a lot. I know it was a lot to
was a
take
lot.
in, yeah.
Enter Sandman.
You learned about Enter Sandman?
That's for next episode.
What do you mean?
With
You
the
said
movies.
him. You're talking about.
Well, Enter Sandman's the
what'd you
song.
learn?
Yeah.
He.
No, it was just anything
he
that
could
I...
be on the beach. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I didn't
Party
know he
trick.
could absorb sand, and I didn't know Electro could also absorb. Well,
We could go
that's
into
a dumb
electric
thing
power.
I didn't assume. Along with the Hydra dude, but
No, but yeah, because you never really think about that. It's more like, oh, they probably just generated and stuff, but... no.
yeah, or they just kind of turn into it. And
Yeah.
there's just sand then. But I didn't realize they need a source for it.
Yeah. Usually it's more of like a building ground, They get powerful. What about you, Sam? What do you find interesting?
That was my comment.
Oh, the Sam
Hello?
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that probably wasn't the most interesting thing to me.
Oh. Okay,
I
well,
like
that's...
the electro power line, dude. You go zoom.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
Sam likes the absorbing parts of the
Yeah,
villains.
Him going.
Probably the Russian brothers.
Oh, Chameleon and
Chameleon.
Craven.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're Russians is funny to me because Cold War. I don't think Rhino would have been Russian because of the Cold War era though. Because I think
Madagascar.
you said 96.
Yeah, something like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this
It was like
Soviet
60,
Union fell in
80,
the
I
early
don't
90s.
remember. But, I don't know.
They were taking down the wall and selling it at Target.
They're like, oh, we should get a Rhino to tear down that wall, Mr.
Yeah.
Gorbachev.
I think
Oh, there you
another,
go.
yeah.
He gave us
Probably
Pizza
accurate.
Hut. Yeah, I hope you know.
I think another good thing to close
Not
off the
Pizza Hut.
What's that?
another good thing to close off the comics is like how like we talk about the Ultimates and the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. We all know about the whole multiverse conversion thing and that whole thing. So that whole second Secret War thing kind of turned Miles into like a main part of the main comic line. So
That's
he lives in the same world with Peter.
It's like
So there's two Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a lot to speak and a lot of new things you probably learned or didn't learn or probably knew. That definitely new for me.
It's like someone that knows all the things about Spider-Man are just gonna be like, "What the hell are they saying this whole time?" Like,
Rice, Haley Welch.
I'm gonna go to bed.
No, well, it is 11:38 by the time.
Yes,
So,
it is. It's my bedtime.
but yeah, guys, that was a wrap for this episode. Get ready for next episode where we will talk about the film adaptations, and we might even have a special guest.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'll be a nice surprise.
So, once again, check out the Animation Group Instagram. We should have the website officially running. I know I mentioned it last episode, but now that I have the YouTube up and ready to upload, we'll make sure that goes up.
Yeah.
And you'll follow it, @animationgroup_studios. That's the Instagram. And if you have any suggestions or questions, email at animationgroup20@gmail.com. Eventually, we'll get into more interesting topics, but as I've stated, this is a 4-parter depending on the topics we talk about. So, next episode will be about the films of Spider-Man, and we'll hope to see you guys soon. So, good night, y'all. This is Animation Group signing out. You guys want to say anything before
Anywho, I want a Hinderband.
you're gonna get in trouble for that?
That's crazy.
She's gonna copyright that statement.
Yeah.
She will. You're gonna pay a lot of money.
Well, her
For
last
that.
name is about fruit snacks, so
And
Checkmate.
on another note, Welch's, they did a thing with Gordon Ramsay and the Rizzler and Big Justice. Oh my god!
We gotta figure out an ending.
It looks so goofy. What's
Yeah,
that?
we could do an ending. That's just signing out.
Oh,
What do you guys want
yeah.
to do?
Well,
you said
yeah.
it.
Thank you for watching. I appreciate. I appreciate.
Anyway, so yeah, reiterate what I said. You know, this is well, not Animation Group. This is Enrique, Sam, and Owen signing out.
Yeah. Bubble.